oneness of love, all the differences that you have believed were true. This is really what's being healed in the everyday by choice. For all the millions of differences that seem to be true, there, there are many differences where most beloveds defend those differences, try to make them stronger for all different kinds of reasoning, to make the differences stronger. Sometimes says, I must be special, or the other side of the coin, I must be lacking, and I have to defend that. But all the differences that seem to be have never been. This is the discovery of love, that there is no difference. There is only one heart, one love, one life. So when you look in the mirror or you look at another beloved, another body, it's the same being, the same love, the same light, the same reflection of God. And that's the entire journey. It's letting go of belief of differences and come home to rest in the communion of oneness. Everything is a part of you, and you are a part of everything. This hymn I've sang pretty fairly often because it speaks so deeply to the fears that belong to all the differences, and the differences belongs to all the fears. I have cried a lot and have held with regret all that has been in the past. But now I leave everything that I have been yearning for. I'm going to live among the flowers. I'm going to live among the flowers with my Blessed Mother. The fears that have appeared are a great rebellion. Let's all, beloveds, sing with love. Sing with love for God and the Blessed Mother as these fears are all dispelled. I am the child of the Blessed Mother. I open to her power, to the power of life itself. I call the force. I call the force of love to come and open my heart. Juro muito e lamento tudo que já se passou. Vejo tudo saldo somente viver no meio das flores. Vou viver no meio das flores, junto com a Virgem Maria. Os terrores que apareçam, essa grande rebeldia. Sou filho da Virgem Mãe, reconheço este poder. Chama a força, Deus chama a força, para vir nos defender. The fears that have appeared have been a great rebellion. This is an acceptance of the truth that every fear that we've ever had, or the reasons that we think we had that fear, it was an unconscious no to God. It was the belief in fear as real. And every time the fear takes your attention, you forget. You forget God. Everybody does. It's the purpose of fear. And fear, of course, comes in all shapes and sizes. It can be irritation. It can be excitement. It can be wanting an outcome. It can be the knower. Comes in all shapes and sizes. But once you recognize, oh, that that's how I've kept myself separate, by staying in fear. I can't be in love. I can't feel my heart when fear has my attention. It takes a deep dive into faith to accept that fear is manufactured for the sake of staying separate. It's a weapon of separation. And it has no power except the belief that it has power. This fear has been a great rebellion. It is really the surrender that you're not standing on your own saying, I'm going to be right, that you don't want to be rebellious anymore for the sake of pain and suffering. Because that's what's being protected, is the agreements and the beliefs that pain and suffering is also real. That it is such a part of fear, and it isn't God's will. And not only it's not the will of God, it, fear is made up. It doesn't exist except as we produce it. I argued I argued with someone at one time that fear was a right. I had the right to my fear. I said if I'm standing on railroad track, I thought I was being pretty clever. If I'm standing on a railroad track and there is a train coming, I need fear to get off the track. I have a right to that fear. I heard this voice that said, why don't you just step off the track? There's no fear needed. You make the choice. Step off the track or not. It's a deep learning to no longer look at fear and believe that it has a right to your life. But that means that all your trust goes to God, that you put your faith in the power of the universe, power of love that is all that really exists. I have cried a lot and have regretted the past. Now I'm going to go and live among the flowers with my Blessed Mother. No fear within and among the flowers. A tethered falcon. My heart sits on the arm of God like a tethered falcon, suddenly unhooded. I am now blessedly crazed because my Master's astounding light is in constant view. My piercing eyes, which have searched every world for tenderness and love, now lock on a royal target, the wild, holy one whose beauty illuminates existence. My soul endures a magnificent longing. I am a tethered falcon with great wings and sharp talons, poised, every synotont like a sacred bow, quivering at the edge of myself and eternal freedom. Though still held in check by miraculous, divine golden cord, beloved, I am waiting for you to free me into your mind and infinite being. I am pleading in absolute helplessness to hear finally your words of grace. Fly, fly unto me. Hafiz, who can understand your sublime nearness and separation? A tethered falcon. You want to be tethered into the soul of God because that's where you exist. That's your true perfection. And yet, you want to be free, free in God's love, free to follow. Let me step back and let God lead. Why is that so essential? Because in the world, everybody is on their own. Everyone is thinking in terms of I and me. I like this, I don't like this, this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And in the truth of love, None of that exists. You're perfect, you're whole, you're complete, you're innocent. And the you is part of divine life. But it's here now. That divine life isn't something that you're going to, it's what is here now. Now, if your mind is trapped in the pain and suffering of the world, then you're not aware that it's here and now. Maybe little glimpses here and there when you breathe deeply. But the more that you accept that the power of God is your blessed heart, the more you accept that, the more you rest and trust in this moment and surrender what you think you know from the past. Really surrender it as deeply as possible. All that you took as an identity, just giving it over to love. Not because what you made is evil or bad, it's just mistaken. It's just based on struggle and battle and proving. When I use the word proving, it's like there's no one that's ever incarnated that hasn't spent most lifetimes proving. Just imagine that all of this proving, we're trying to prove, because the thing is, just saying the word proving, at, it kind of says that you've proven something, but you believe you're trying to prove, but you never prove because there's nothing to prove. And to give up that agreement and not ask anyone else to prove anything and not ask yourself to prove anything because there's nothing that can be proven. It's like looking at, this isn't even a, a reasonable balance, but if you look at a diamond and you allow your eyes to open to the depth of the movement, and you're thinking this is the most perfect, beautiful thing that's ever, it's just stunning, it's so perfect. And it doesn't even touch the perfection of love that you are. It is, the diamond is perfect, but it's beyond even the shape, the form, the identity of it. And that's going into the perfection. But how can you accept the perfection of who you are, what you are, when your mind is in battle and arguing? You know that picture where it's somebody has the devil on one shoulder and angel on the other, and they're yelling at each. That is those are both the ego, because love doesn't argue. But in the mind, it's like it's a heavy duty boxing match sometimes, just from the idea of trying to defend your right to be not what the ego says. The ego says that you're either a failure or you're a success. And that's the strangest thing. The ego latches on to you having to prove success. So you can't be a failure and you can't be a success because they're both made up in the identity that's temporary. Anything that takes you into battle, anything that takes you into having to prove, then it's time to step back, let God lead, so that you can see that there's nothing to battle for. Within each situation and every beloved is that pure love, and that's what you're here to remember and to see it within as well. That's who you are. And what does that, how can you even recognize it? You recognize it in the gentleness, you recognize it in the kindness, the compassion, the generosity, the charity, the trust. All of that is love in its purity and the honesty of love, where your thoughts, your words, your actions, everything is honest and true. That's that's the journey. We have honed ourselves to lie to ourselves for thousands and thousands of years. And then we have to unravel all the made up identities. But it's easy if you just say yes, 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 and yes. Show me the way. I will follow. There's nothing else. Nothing else but to let go of all the comparisons and all the ideas of differences. I do not know who I am. I do not know how to look at anything. I don't know what anything is for. And I don't know where I'm going. With that, you can really hear the guidance of love because you've just dropped the screaming mind for just long enough to hear. Just imagine that you never can compare your knowing with anyone. That no matter who thinks they know what they think they know, there's nothing to know. So where would the competition go of knowing? It would be such a beautiful, peaceful place. I don't know. And it is a beautiful, peaceful place. I don't know. Nothing, there is nothing to know. I remember the first time I heard a portion of that as a teaching. It was one of the first teachings that I was driving and I said to stop the car. And this teacher said, "You don't. There's nothing for you to know. The only thing that your mind is for is to tie your shoelaces." And it was such a, oh, wow, only my shoelaces. Okay, I guess this is a different road because there's no known. And that's where the peace and harmony meet, and that's where you exist, in that peace and harmony. There's nothing more fulfilling in this world than to happily say, I don't know. I don't know. But love knows. And all you have to do is wait, and love will lead with patience. Patience is trust. When you put your faith in God, put your faith in the universe of love, that that is patience, and that is trust. The patience is the physicality of it. You feel the energy of it. And the distrust is impatience. And you can feel that emotion. And when you feel that emotion of impatience, that's God calling you back, saying, come back to patience. Trust that you are held, that you are loved, that you are the light of God, and that God will lead you to what is most helpful in every moment. Thank God. All judgment can be let go. My heart sits on the arm of God like a tethered falcon suddenly unhooded. Sitting on the arm of God is such a beautiful symbol that God is walking and you're just in the sidecar along for the ride on the arm, waiting for your hood to be taken off so you can see what God has created. You won't be disappointed. I am now blessedly crazed because my master's astounding light is in constant view, and that light is everywhere, in everyone. You can be dazzled by the light that you allow your heart to see, which means no judgment. Without judgment, you can see the light. If there's judgment, then you go into the gray and you don't see the light. to realize that you always have the choice for darkness or for light, always, with every thought. That's why it's so wonderful and so simple to ask, are you at peace? Are you experiencing peace in this moment? If you're not, you're making something up and you choose again. You surrender the made up and you begin again. Come back to peace. And that's the ease of the moment. And that is the love of God that is orchestrating that moment and in every moment for the peace of love. If you're not at peace, choose again. And peace is the absence of fear. That is that is your indicator. Peace is the absence of fear. So if there's tension, if there's upset, if there's worry, if there's an anxiety, if there's anger, if there's resentment, if there's sadness, you're not at peace. And you can choose again. Because all of those beliefs are not the reality of love. I cried a lot and regretted the past. But now I'm going to go and live among the flowers with my Blessed Mother. The fears have been a great rebellion, but now I say yes to love. Truly one heart. The preciousness of love is within each holy oneness. Everything falls away. That is not the truth. Cultures, voices, sounds, colors, agreements, all of it, races, all of it falls away. And you see your divine self.